Welcome back to the OC Housing Talk. I got Tim Lorenz and myself, Mike Van Ruth. Good afternoon? Yeah, it's afternoon.
I'm feeling a little rough today.
I realized, okay, I judge my whole day by when I eat. And I go, oh, I did have lunch, so it must be after 12 noon.
It must be afternoon. Yes, it is afternoon. Good for you.
Okay. I swore we wouldn't match, but you're off-white and I'm white. Okay, then we're good.
Yeah, and I never wear off-white or white. I did today. I thought that would throw everything off, but it didn't.
No, you can't be.
We're just in sync. That's all there is to it.
In sync? We're going to start a boy band, too?
No. I don't think so.
Oh, man. All right, Tim. Well, I know this morning in our team meeting we were talking about, I know I hate to beat a dead horse. Now, we had this topic before, but it doesn't seem to be cooling down, and that rocket is still thundering skyward.
It's beating a racehorse. It's going faster. And the reason I don't mind talking about this, because normally we can cover so many different topics.
Yeah.
But this one is radical. And the kinds of predictions I made are pretty radical. I can see people looking at them going, it's not going to happen.
Pie in the sky kind of thing?
Yeah, my goodness. I think he's just saying that to sell something. That's ridiculous. I haven't heard that from any of the talking heads on TV. I've got to tell you, I went out this weekend and I was looking at tracts of homes for one of my newbies, a new person in the business whose sister wanted, and I was helping out, so wanted a home at the lower end of the price spectrum. And so I stopped in about 7 different home tracts just to see what's going on. They were all price range, but mostly for that person. And what I found was that they had sold out everything.
Did clarify, these are new housing tracts?
Brand new.
Okay, so new build.
New build. So I went in, and they were completely sold out. They were taking names and having them pre-qualified, and the woman said, we've sold out the next phase. I'm sure of it because we have 2, 3, 4 people on every single house. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be out at least 8 months before we'll even put you on a list now. And I said, so it takes 8 months to build, right? Yes, and you don't start until you're pretty much done with this? Yes. I said, so we're 16 months from getting a house with a housing tract? She said, yeah, we can't have enough houses on the market to make this work. We just can't do it. And I looked at that along with all the other stuff that we're seeing, and it's getting more and more insane, which you would expect. As we're getting into season now, what you're going to see is these houses flying faster, not going slower. And again, that puts pressure on the market. But I love this season. No one's going to lose, buyer or seller. They can't. This is a market where both sides win. In fact, investors can't lose. It's the most wonderful market you can have, but there's so much fear in it. And I understand that. It's real. If you're a buyer, you're thinking, I can't find anything, and I'm never going to find anything. I tried to buy a new house. That didn't work. I go and try and buy a house that's for sale, and it doesn't work. And they're bidding it up, and I don't want to pay too much in a rocket ship. If you buy in January, February, March, April, May, June, you still have tremendous equity growth. So you can't lose there. Mm-hmm. There really isn't on a rocket ship a too high a price. That's why everybody's bidding over. So you're fine if you're a buyer. If you're a seller, your fear is, I can sell quickly, but I can't find anything. It doesn't exist. It does exist. And we close things in 60 to 90 right now, and it's 30, 45 in a real slow market. And in a normal market, it's between 30 to 60. So we're well within guidelines. People will work with the seller to give them time to find a property because they can't find anything. So when you're a seller, they say, sure, go ahead, stay in the property if you want to rent back, or we'll even take the escrow later. There's many ways that we can do that through negotiation to protect the seller so they have a property that they're going to move into to coordinate that whole transaction. Now that is exciting to me. If you're an investor and you've been watching all this stuff on television that said if you fix up a house, go find a piece, you have to pay under the market, it has to be a junky house. And when you open up, by the way, this is what my dad loved to do. He was an engineer. He bought houses that were trash. And we'd buy them and he'd pull all the walls down and he'd reset walls. And I mean, we just remodeled houses in a major way, not a minor way. And he didn't do it to flip. We lived in them until they were finished because my mom was an interior designer. So we'd fix the house. It looked beautiful. Then we'd go buy another piece of junk house that we could redo it all over again. So I'm used to that. I do understand that strategy as a flipper. Mm-hmm. But right now, you can buy a house, pay more than they're asking, and still make more than you would as a flipper.
And never have to pick up a hammer.
Never have to touch a nail. Never have to putty anything. Just pick it up, sell it again in a few months. I would say if I were a flipper, I'm trying to understand this, length of time you'd normally take to fix a house, that's when you can sell it again.
Exactly.
And make more money without the risk of finding, I started to say, I lived in a family where we did this. Once you take whatever's on the wall, back in the day it was lath and plaster, now it's wallboard.
You're dating yourself, Tim.
I know. But if those still exist out there.
They do.
But once you take that off, you find things that you didn't know were there. You wanted to move a wall, and now you find, oh my gosh, that wall has all this in it, and I have to reroute so many things.
You open a proverbial can of worms.
Exactly. So you don't have that risk. Now, the market, it's not likely, but markets can turn on a dime. This one, everything is showing it's just taking off. And if you cut the rockets on a rocket ship, it still is going to go upward until it reaches a spot where it slows to a stop and then drops. We're not seeing a drop. We don't see anything in the market that's going to do that. Everything is pointing to good things. So that's why I can say an investor right now, buy anything, especially if you have lots of money to do the flips. You can buy one, sell it, buy another one, buy two if you want. Don't go too far with that because if markets change, you don't want to be stuck with too many you can't afford. All right. Having said that, we got the investor covered, the seller covered, and the buyer covered. I'm excited. Why is it that you see on whatever news broadcast, usually a financial broadcast, is saying, my goodness, real estate is doing well? And you talk to your agent, and your agent seems to be down, kind of depressed, or even it's really hard to get a property. I told you what the time frames are. It's not hard. It's harder than easy, but it's some work. So why is it there's this conflict between good news and the agent may not be talking the same excited good news? What do you think that is?
Because there probably isn't as many properties out there to feed all these agents.
Exactly. When the inventory is low and you've got a plethora, I love that word. I just was waiting for a place to put it in. A large amount of agents, and you've got very, very little property. Somebody is not eating. And that causes people often to make choices which are not in the best interest of their client. Not all of them, some of them. If you're not eating and somebody says they might want a house, you might direct them incorrectly. It's also true that not every company trains their agents well. And I'll give you an example. I know if you go back I think it's the last podcast we did, I had an example of where I had a big win for one of my clients. Yesterday, let's make it relevant. Yesterday, one of my newer agents was going to write an offer for her sister. And so I said, do you have 4 hours? And she said, oh, we're just going to write an offer. It's about 15 minutes, right? And I said, no, it's 4 hours. It's not 4 hours if you're writing an offer. It's 4 hours if a newbie is writing an offer because they don't know how to fill out the paperwork. They don't know what goes into it. They don't know where to find all the pieces that they need to put in there, etc. I'm not going to take 4 hours to explain that, but it takes 4 hours for a new person, first deal, to find their way through everything. After filling out the paperwork, understanding how the system works, there's lots of little places to put in to protect the buyer and the seller. We came to a position where we're done and we know that you have to pay more than the ask price on the majority of properties right now because there's so much pressure to buy. And so I said, well, let's see what the value of this property is. And it's a new person. I mean, they've just started. They don't know how to do any of this.
No.
And I said, take a look at the comparables to understand what the value of that property is. And what I got back was, after doing it, showing the value of the property, 2 similar properties within 1 square mile of that property was 720, 740, 2 properties that had sold recently, another one in the 700s. The asking price on this property was $550. Why?
What was that listing agent thinking?
Well, there was nothing that had sold in that tract in over a year. Because I would say they were untrained, they don't know how to look at value. They even may look at a Zestimate or some other
cheat sheet.
some other automatic pricing position in order to, on websites that you could look at and saw an average was
That's
this.
all based on an algorithm. They don't understand the real world.
It's based on an algorithm, and it's based on an area. And I said in the last podcast, this tract of homes may be gated, it may be bigger on average, and they're comparing apples to oranges to mushrooms, and they don't work. That isn't the way an appraiser would do it. But what I'm saying is they missed the mark by $200,000.
So you told your agent to jump on that like no one's business, correct?
Yes, and I said pay over the ask and ask if you could do it, and if you put in a good offer, would they accept it today? And I said, tell your sister or sister-in-law, whatever it was, that anything under 700 is a good value. So there are exceptionally good offer or values out there that people are missing because they're just looking at what they ask for and how much they pay for it. Nobody's looking at the market. And when you do that, I think you're brain dead. I think most agents would think that. So those things exist for an investor. If you're an investor, you may want to go ahead and deal with that. have somebody looking for that for you, because you would move in day one
with about $200,000 in equity.
Yeah,
Oh,
but you're
rough.
going to pay over.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so let's say you're going to have $150,000 in equity. That's pretty darn good. Day one. Then every day you hold it, it goes up in value. So there are values out there that people don't know how to find. When I say people, let me reverse that. Agents out there that don't know how to find. People that don't know how to find because they don't have an agent that can help them. This is probably the best market I've been in my entire career.
And you've been in it a while.
Long time.
We don't want to say how long.
Well, we have, but yeah, that's not important. It is important to know that we're on a rocket ship. The rocket ship has taken off. It's moving at great speed. If you sold now and bought now and stayed in Southern California, because I don't really look at Northern California, but they're always doing well. So I would say any of California, but I haven't researched it. But if you stay in Southern California, even into Riverside County, San Bernardino County, San Diego County, Orange County, Los Angeles County, if you're in those areas, your properties are doing well. You can't really miss. It's the sooner you sell and buy and get your dream home, the more equity you make. And if you're a senior, you might buy that $1 million home, and you were thinking you'd do a reverse mortgage, although I don't know why you would, because you're making so much profit. But some people are thinking about that, and you got to have 50% equity. You may get that. Not have to spend all your money to get there. I'm not pushing for reverse mortgages, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, no matter what angle you take at this, it's good. I'm excited.
Now, just to kind of illustrate how quickly this market is going, you had those tracks you went to go visit. There was also a track out of curiosity you went to go look at that was obviously above their price range, but you went to go look at it anyway.
Yes.
It had a history, and what's currently happening with that?
Well, it was a housing tract that was upper end. I mean, this tract they had kind of overbuilt. It was completely built out, and nobody was buying the homes yet. And from about a month ago, when I saw it, and then I went back to see what its progress was, everything was sold out.
So in the matter of a month period, it went from nothing sold to they're all sold.
They're all sold. And that makes sense. Let me put you back on the rocket ship. When a rocket ship is taking off, it's fluttering at the bottom and it's struggling to get up in the air.
Fighting gravity.
That's it. And the amount of power that it takes to accelerate is tremendous. Well, it's still tremendous as it starts to gain speed, but there's no resistance. And we're getting to a point, we're still struggling against gravity using the rocket analogy, but it's about to just really shoot to the moon, if you will. It's exciting. I'm telling you, it is the best market I've been in, and I've been in a lot of really good markets.
So we've talked about all this. What is the moral of the story, Tim? What are you consulting your buyers to do?
Buy quickly. If you're afraid because you're on the edge, and I would have to really understand your circumstance, but if you're on the edge of qualifying and literally 2 months from now at this rate of growth, you can't buy anything that you would get into, it would be too small. It's not the house you want. I would say buy something.
Buy it anyway. Because again, your philosophy, it's a two-step process. Why don't you elaborate on your two-step process?
Absolutely, two-step process. And I have done this with people. They said, I'm not going to live In that small house, I don't like the neighborhood, but that's all I can afford. I say, buy it and rent it. And if it's an upward trending market, sell it in a year or two. You have the equity that grew in the market. And in this market, you might not need to wait a year or two. You may need to wait a year. Sell the property. You have tremendous equity coming out. Go buy the house you wanted before, because now you have a much bigger down payment. It's much easier to do.
Exactly.
So that's how you get into the market. So the market is making you the money in the equity side of it so that you can take a larger chunk and go buy what you wished you could have bought, but you're getting further away from.
Now, that's why I wanted to explain that, because the market moving so quickly, someone might come along and go, oh, I missed the train. I'm not going to be able to get the house I want. That's why even try? But based on your strategy there, it's like, don't let that slow you down. Get into the market.
Get into the market, even if you're not going to live in the house. Rent it.
Yeah.
Let the tenant pay to get you equity so that you can then sell it at some date in the future so that you can make the money that you're looking to make so you can have the house that you want. But it's a matter, you have to get in to do that. And it's the time to do that. I mean, if it was a downward trending market, I wouldn't have a two-step process for you unless we had been in the down season for quite a while and it looks like it's coming out. So
if people want to reach you and pick your brain about their situation, talk about it, how do they contact you?
Telephone is probably best, 949-874-2247. You can text me or call me. If you call me, depending on what I'm doing, I'll pick up, or it'll go to voicemail. If it goes to voicemail, I will get to you as soon as I can. Text me. Sometimes I'm in a place where I can't pick up, but I can text back. At any cost, I will get back to everyone who decides to get a hold of me.
Well, even on Monday, I was Tim hasn't called me back yet. Unbeknownst to me, you're at your favorite place.
Yeah, the dentist chair. That's not my favorite place. Yes, I couldn't quite talk on the phone, nor could I text because somebody was in my face.
I know. There's dentists.
Not exciting. Not exciting at all.
So again, what Tim said is true. We have agents, your phone is ringing this morning, and you said, oh, someone loves me. And I go, no, I smell desperation. And sure enough, a lot of the mentees and a lot of your agents that work with you are, and Cameron was expressing that this morning in that meeting, is they're stressed out because it's a lot of work for them. There isn't a whole lot of properties out there to pick from. And
Yes.
then on top of all that, you're competing with every other buyer out there as well. There's a lot of competition on that end.
Yes, but if the buyer or seller understands the market, you explain it to them ahead of time. Nothing is a surprise that happens. And if they know that there is good advice from somebody who is actually a professional, knows what they're doing, and can marshal you through all of the landmines that are there, it is much easier process, and that's what most people are looking for. Somebody who's going to be honest, straightforward, and get them through all the glitches, answer their questions even before they get there, and be able to actually answer them.
Well, no one wants to get blindsided.
No, I don't.
If there's going to be something bad coming on, just prepare me for it. All right? I don't want to be surprised.
Yes, exactly. And if I tell a lot of people, new agents, that a lot of times what you will have is somebody who can't believe that the market's as fast as it is, and what the agent is telling them is exaggerated, and they're just doing it to sell a house.
That guy's trying to sell me.
That's it. He's selling me a house. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just trying to get me into more money than I want to do. A lot of those people have to put in offers twice on properties below asking for a low ball offer or a below ask price offer and lose them twice before they believe.
Oh, I've been there, done that.
Yep.
You try to explain it to them, and they just don't believe you.
No.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to try this. That's fine. We'll do it twice. Our team will do it twice, but we won't do it a third time because we do know what we're talking about, and we have also clients we have to serve. And if you're going to continue with that, you're just going to get further and further away from your goal. And we actually won't do that. We wouldn't do it 3 times.
Well, another thing too, our real estate community is small, so you get to hear all the stories from other agents, their experiences, talking about their client, they're having this issue, that issue, and they're kind of brainstorming off each other. So you get this plethora, not only your own experiences out there, but what other agents are experiencing too. So it kind of really puts your finger on the pulse of wow, this is what's actually going on. This is real.
There's a lot of, I will say, due to COVID, due to the fast market, due to the inability to get into some properties when you want to, it's a different market. And I was explaining to some people that there are agents who are working from home, don't go in the office. They haven't been doing any business. They picked up a client, and they go to the market, and they make an offer, and there were 20 offers higher than their offer. And it's the first time they've heard of it. You don't need an agent that doesn't know what's going on because they have a lot of space to make up if they're working in a company that doesn't train them or they don't have somebody they can go to and ask, what just happened? I've been at home. I've been out of the loop. I haven't been keeping up. That's not who you want in a fast market. You really don't. You need a professional. And what about the people who said they'll sell my house and they'll do it for a lot less than you will? They're not going to get you the money. They don't understand the market. They don't get excited at making you more money than anybody has ever thought of could be made on your house. They don't know the market is as fast as I know it is. They may, even if they came over after I was there, they would say, that's not true. But then say, okay, if it's not true, how do you know that? What is the data? What do you see? And they can't explain it because they don't have the background.
No. Well, as you said, very exciting times. Very
Absolutely.
exciting times. And like I said, not that we're trying to beat this dead horse, but we have to hammer this point forward. If you have any inclination of getting into the market, now is the time. Don't hesitate. Don't wait. Because a house you could afford right now, 2 months from now, you're not going to be able to.
That's right. And if you're thinking, well, then I should wait. I had this happen to me too. It actually was my brother-in-law, so I don't mind saying it. He was looking for a house. The house was moderately fast, not as fast as this. And he said, well, I'd like to get, and he gave me a price. His house wasn't worth that. And I said, well, it's not worth that yet. Yeah, I know, but I'm going to wait until it's at that price, then I can buy a better house. He was looking at a 2-story home, 3-car garage, with extra parking. He collected cars. So I could park 2 houses on the side of the house, and he had 4 cars he could park in front and a 3-car garage. It just was perfect for him, with a view. He waited 4 months to put his house on the market to get the really high price he was looking for. That house, it wasn't even close to him getting into it, that price of home. Now, for that size, he ended up with a single-story, 3-bedroom, with a small lot, 2-car garage. Getting the money for your house now, if you can get what you want now is the time. If you wait, the lower-priced houses grow slower than the higher-priced. Let me explain what I mean. If you take 2% growth, I'm just going to use an easy number, and we have a $500,000 house, 2% means it grew in this time period 10%. Or, I'm sorry, $10,000. Obviously it was 2%. $10,000. If you were buying then a $700,000 house, it grew 14. So the upper end, because of the percentages in real money, is growing much faster than the lower end. So what happens is, if you wait too long, you get a higher price, but they really got out of sight for you. Don't let that happen to you. All right. I think we beat this horse. It's not beating a dead horse. I really think it's important. I really do think it's important to keep people informed as to what's happening in the market. If they're watching these and they do it progressively, they'll see whether or not I'm right or I'm wrong. They can weigh the difference. And I'm perfectly happy with that. I'm not happy if they're waiting too long to see it and then do something, but that's up to them. It is their house, their purchase, their investment.
And we do have other topics coming down the pipe. But because this market's moving so quickly and to be timely with the material that we're putting out there, obviously these topics take precedent. We got to get them out ASAP.
ASAP is right. And there are too few agents that understand the market they're in. It's just true.
Well, it's like that in anything. You have subject matter experts and you have people who are dabblers. But
exactly.
So, again, if you have any questions in regards to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, contact him. That's 949-874-2247. The phone number will also be here in the video and also at the very end of the ending credits. So
that's about all we can do today.
What's that, Looney Tunes? That's all, folks.
Yes.
Well, stay tuned. If you like the subject matter here, hit like, subscribe to our channel, and if you have any questions or you have any topics you'd like us to discuss in the future, go ahead and put that in the comment section, and then we'll get those addressed.
Absolutely.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again soon. Thank you.